When it comes to the post-colonial, we can picture the invasion of indigenous people, land, and traditions followed, most of the time, by resistance and possible freedom from a colonial power. The center of a post-colonial society lies in the effort to not only detach from methods and teachings, but also to recreate a worldview that erases the influence of the colonial settler. There are three tiers to the perception of post-colonialism: the world, a nation, and a person, or as a specific case study here, Kenyan society. Post-colonial theory, however, dives into a dissection of the distress of the colonized who endure the remnants of a post-colonial state. It involves the questioning of works of English literature taught in schools and picking apart the influences imposed upon the Kenyans before their independence from British colonial rule in 1963. College freshmen have minds like that of a toddler, exceptionally malleable. Analyzing a curriculum through a theoretically post-colonial lens allows students to dislike a novel or work that is deemed classic and see all the ways culturally and politically such works, usually British, belittle societies such as Kenya. Literature is a result of real-world issues, and its teaching in educational systems, whether it is Kenyan or our own, raises its own consequences. Education serves not only as a platform of basic knowledge, but also as an ongoing cultural lens that can be expanded through the minds of today's students all over the world. The first of the primary texts in the curriculum is Ngugi wa Thiong'o's On the Abolition of the English Department. He dives right into the issues within the Kenyan University of Nairobi, and he says it raises questions of value, direction, and orientation. Though this proposal was for a Kenyan university, the principles of a diverse and rich curriculum can very well be applied to the EWL class as a model in order to be able to incorporate the different perspectives of literature into the overarching curriculum that puts emphasis on the modern West, or what has been projected upon the students before entering MMC. Postcolonial studies, in the case of EWL 120, will present the theory to students through the journey of Kenya's independence as a symbol to a world full of Kenyas. The world's view of postcolonialism lends itself to reader response criticism in that it looks to incorporate criticism throughout into all works. Audiences become those being studied as viewers of visual works, listeners of audio works, and readers of the literary works that we read today. Reader response becomes a discussion of how readers project unity onto a text. It is important when presenting the curriculum to students not only to not impose preconceived ideas on how to respond or interpret a work. Another important approach of the criticism is to not tell students why literature is impactful, but rather let them create a meaning of importance through the work as it helps them become more in tune with their own education via critical thinking. There is a focus on the student's experience with the text and analysis that coexist with the post-colonial, such as the viewing of another primary work, Justin Chadwick's film, The First Grader, in order to form a more internalized opinion that is not only free of misconceptions imposed on our society by past colonial rule, but also encourages criticism and deeper analysis of everyday thoughts and ideas as reflection. The film is based on the true story of Maruge, an ex-freedom fighter of the Mau Mau rebellion that resulted in the independence of Kenya. The following scene shows the importance of educating those of a new generation about learning from the past. Maruge's speech supports the separation of colonial imposition onto the minds of the children and opens a dialogue for what is to be done in the newly appointed educational system in the film's modern-day Kenya.
Mr. Maruge, what can we do for you?
I'm here for a teacher.
Sir, shall I...
No, that's all right. Thank you. You have our attention, sir.
In the detention camps with our founding fathers. These men sacrificed everything for your generation. Without them, you'd not be here. Before it was only the Queen's face there. The British did this to me. They cracked my skull. They chopped off my toes.
Mr. Chairman.
We have to learn from our past. We must not forget. But we must be better. We need good teachers. We reap what we sow with our children.
In conjunction to the film, the third primary text being used is Ngugi wa Thiong'o's memoir, Dreams in a Time of War. The book offers a preface to the Mau Mau Rebellion through the mind of a young Wa Thiong'o. He digs deep into his memory to unveil a colonial education that was available under British rule. To others in the village, and despite the teachings they had in schools, there was still an underlying importance on oral tradition, and education through the oral tellings of his father's wives. Of the stories, he says, in the daytime we would try to retell the stories we had heard among ourselves, but they did not come out as powerfully as when told around the fireside, and the entire space was jammed with eager participatory listeners. Daylight, our mothers always told us, drove stories away, and it seemed true.